Welcome to the Bibbidi Bobbidi Basics podcast, a lifestyle podcast with a magical twist. I'm your host, Caitlin May, and I'm a self-proclaimed Disney adult and childless millennial who is obsessed with Harry Potter, Florida Sunshine, and all things basic. Here on the podcast, I chat weekly about everything Disney, Harry Potter, theme park news, and navigating my basic late 20s life. Welcome back, Magical Basics. I hope you are having a wonderful week so far. This week's guest is so exciting. We have Kelsey on the podcast this week to talk all about growing up, going to Disneyland Paris, moving to Orlando from New York City, and her Disney YouTube channel. But first, here is the Bibbidi Bobbidi broadcast. On November 13th, filming began for the Disney World Christmas special. Julianne Hough is going to be hosting again this year, and there, of course, will be several guest performances, including Darren Criss and Kristen Chenoweth. More celebrity narrators have been announced for the Candlelight Processional. Some highlights include, I watched videos on how to pronounce this, and I'm gonna hopefully do not too terrible of a job, but Auli'i Cravalho, our beloved Moana, and Alton Fitzgerald White, who is best known for his role as Mufasa in The Lion King on Broadway. Moving on over to Disney's Hollywood Studios, recent photos show that FANTASMIC Amphitheater is currently an active construction site. The pool was drained on October 2020, and we were all kind of under the impression that it was getting a little bit of a remodel, but this evidence of an active construction teams there gives us hope that we will see FANTASMIC open up very soon. It is official as of this week, PRIMEVAL WHIRL has officially been removed from Dinoland USA and Animal Kingdom. No news yet what will replace it, but the ride has been closed since July of 2020. Disney Plus has announced several new shows and films coming to the streaming platform in the future. Some of the highlight titles are Enchanted. Can we say finally? I can't believe that we haven't had Enchanted this whole time that we've had Disney Plus. And Disenchanted, its new sequel. Hopefully Adina will get a bigger role in this one, and hopefully a song as well. And one thing that I am personally so psyched about is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, that is going to be starring Andy Samberg and John Mulaney. And then, of course, a cult classic that we are all looking forward to, Hocus Pocus, the sequel. Disney Plus also confirmed the name of the WandaVision spin-off series about Agatha. It's going to be called Agatha House of Harkness, and more information about the series will be released very soon. So moving on to the basic news segment of the broadcast. This one isn't really a basic story, but I didn't know where to fit it in, but I did want to give it a little highlight. So Give Kids the World Night of a Million Lights has officially opened for the Christmas season. The show will run from November 12th through January 2nd, and if you're a local in the area, I totally and highly encourage you to attend this event. And if you are unable to attend, we're going to add a donation link for you to get involved that way. Ariel, our blog writer, mentioned in her episode that Give Kids the World hosted her family during her brother's Make-A-Wish trip. So we would love to constantly support this amazing organization. And I am going to be better about constantly posting links where you can donate to this organization and Make-A-Wish. But I definitely wanted to highlight this event because it's a great way to give back to the community and to families like Ariel's. So last and most important news segment of this week's episode. Of course, how could I not be your resident magical basic and not talk about Red Taylor's version? We were given the gift of Red all over again. except this time it was 14,000 times better. 31 track full of drama and passion and lyric genius, and a 10-minute long All Too Well. I mean, I've been unwell, if you can't tell. I mean, I'm wearing red. I cut my bangs. Was I just scream singing to the album Red on the new vinyl that I just got in the mail before we recorded this? Yes, Jonathan can attest. Yes, I need to know all of your thoughts as the magical basics that we are. Of course, I know that you were listening to Red Taylor's version as well. So please, message me on social media, message the pod, share us in your stories of you listening, what have you. Comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube. I just need to gush about this album with my magical basic community. And also, if you haven't listened to the album, are you living under a rock? And it's really good, and you should go listen to it. So I'm going to be done gushing about Red Taylor's version, and I want to get into this episode. This was such a great episode. Kelsey gives such an amazing perspective of being someone who is from Europe and growing up with Disneyland Paris in her backyard. So I really loved that perspective of her episode. I'm very excited for you guys to listen to it, and it's going to be coming right after this quick break. Hello, Magical Basics. Have you been thinking about starting your own podcast, but you don't really know where to begin? I completely understand, because when Bibbidi Bobbidi Basics first launched, I felt the same exact way. Thank goodness I had Anchor to help me. If you've never heard of Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. I know what you're thinking. Katie, is it really that easy? Oh, it is. So let me tell you how. First, it's completely free. We love that. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And then Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more platforms. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's literally everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Thank you so much to Anchor for sponsoring this episode. All right, guys, I am so freaking excited for this week's guest. You guys don't even know. To say that her moving to Orlando vlogs got me through our moving to Orlando process is the very least I could say about this week's guest. Of course, we have Kelsey on the podcast this week. Kelsey, thank you so much for hanging out with me today.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, it is such a joy to have you on the podcast and to be able to sit and chat with you about your love of Disney and kind of where all of that led you to today. So tell us a little bit about yourself, just, who is Kelsey?
Oh, wow. Okay, so thank you again for having me. I'm very excited to be here. As you heard, my name's Kelsey. I'm from the UK originally and now live in Orlando, Florida. A big part of that is because of my love for Disney and all things Orlando related. I work for a branding agency up in New York and work fully remotely and live here with my husband and my little puppy Penny and spend my time going to parks and hanging out in like little towns around Orlando and being basic, like going for coffees and going for drinks and brunches. Those are the types of things that I really love to do. And I think is why Katie and I found such a common ground when we chatted before. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yes, I think it's safe to say that you are amongst friends here with all the listeners about all of the basic things that we like to
Love
do.
That.
Absolutely. So let's just get on into it. I want to know your favorite Disney film.
Okay, that is, it changes from time to time, but The Little Mermaid is probably my all-time favorite classic Disney film.
Stop. that is my all-time favorite classic Disney film.
I just love it.
Oh my gosh. Right? She's such a queen. Like, I feel like I don't understand why people don't catch on to that more.
I know, but Daddy, I love him. Like, what an iconic Disney line. And Ariel, to your point, is a queen. She also is like that movie came out like the year I was born. So any merch with Ariel on always has 89. And I'm like, yeah, that's my jam. So,
right.
Yeah, many reasons to love
what a
that
good
film.
year to be born. You and T Swift.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Yeah, exactly. Iconic.
What an iconic year. That's so basic of us. So why would you say The Little Mermaid is your favorite?
I love the heart in it. The fact that, you know, beyond just being like a princess movie, they have the element between like Ariel and King Triton. Like, it's a real like sweet family story. I think, you know, just the way that movie transpires, and you have like all the under the sea sequences, which are so amazing. You know, some of the best music in The Little Mermaid of any Disney film. Howard Ashman and Alan Menken, like just the iconic duo. And I think that is what
iconic,
brought that movie to life.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but I'm very biased. But no, I completely agree. And that movie was just it was so iconic and revolutionary for its time too. And I think that's why it has surpassed it's lived on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a good Disney movie.
And Prince Eric is definitely the best Disney prince, in my opinion, as well.
Absolutely. He's the most dreamboat of them, for sure. For sure. So you are from the UK. Is it safe to assume that you are a Harry Potter stan as well?
I am. I'm not a Harry Potter expert by any means, but read the books when I was a kid, still watch the movies, and love going to the Wizarding World when I have the opportunity to.
Yes. Oh my gosh. All of the butterbeer. It just brings me so much joy. So what is your Hogwarts house?
So the last time I took the test, I was a Hufflepuff. And we're probably going back 10, 15 years at this point. When I say this now, people are like, yeah, okay, you could be, but underneath that, there may be a little bit of Slytherin in you. So I feel like I should do it again one day, but Hufflepuff is apparently what I am.
I wonder that a lot sometimes, if it's like in university, I studied psychology, and so they made us take a lot of personality tests, and they always said, like, you're taking this as a freshman, but come senior year or after you graduate, it's so interesting, like, take this again and compare your results and, like, see how your growth basically for the last 4 years. So I wonder if, honestly, if your Hogwarts house is kind of the same way.
I'm intrigued to find out. I feel like before this goes live, I should take the test again and let you know.
Yeah, and John can put like a little ticker at the bottom, like, actually, Kelsey is A.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
At the time of this recording.
She found out.
Yeah. That would be so awesome. I know you said people think that you should identify more with Slytherin. Do you agree with those people? Or do you think like, no, like, I still am a Hufflepuff?
I do think I'm a Hufflepuff. And like, I know my sister's a Hufflepuff, and there's a lot about us that is quintessentially Hufflepuff. I think just, you know, people that really get to know me, like, they find out, oh, okay, you're not just like what you seem on the surface, like a smiley, bubbly, kind of happy person. Like, there's an edge to you underneath it all. And I think that's where that comes from. Maybe it's 5 years of living in New York. It kind of like hardened me up a little bit, gave me some thick skin.
It brought you out.
Yeah. But who knows? We'll have to redo the test and find out for sure.
Wow, the suspense is killing me. I hope we really do. I hope we really do follow up on this. All right, Kelsey, are you ready for some lightning round questions?
Yes, I'm excited.
Okay. I'm excited too. This is my favorite. So John is going to put 2 minutes on the clock. And here we go. Which Disney movie had the best message?
Princess and the Frog.
What Harry Potter character would you want as your best friend?
Ron.
If you got a Harry Potter related tattoo, what would it be and why?
A lightning bolt, because that's the first thing that came into my head.
True or false? Mickey Mouse was not the first cartoon character to have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
True.
False. He was actually the first animated character to have.
You know what? I was thinking of like
star.
Bugs Bunny. Maybe he preceded that.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair to say. Favorite Universal park?
Islands of Adventure.
Overrated Pixar film?
Is there one? Monsters, Inc. Not my favorite.
Favorite Disney quote?
If you can dream it, you can do it.
Least favorite Disney film?
Meet the Robinsons?
Hot take. Disney film that makes you cry?
Ooh. Up.
Favorite sidekick?
Flounder.
A Disney song that gets stuck in your head?
Right now, Dig a Little Deeper by Princess and the Frog.
Wishes or Happily Ever After?
Controversial.
I know.
Wishes. I'm a wishes girl.
I love the timer just went off, but one more.
Okay.
If you could have any country added to World Showcase, what would it be and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would have added India.
Ooh.
They have a booth in Food and Wine right now, and I think that's a great thing to introduce to the festivals.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, being from the UK, like curry is the nation's favorite takeout food, and I just love the food. I would love to go to India one day. I think there's so many like colors and cultural things I could bring into like a really immersive country experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that would be really cool.
That would be a great pavilion.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And then you could
I've
add
never thought about that country.
If you wanted to add in some like Disney elements, there could be something Jungle Book themed. Like there could be a whole like a city element, and then maybe like a more natural side to it. I mean, I should just be an Imagineer.
You really should. Oh my gosh. I've been an ad Greece to World Showcase stand for a long time, but like that kind of made me change my mind a little bit.
Greece would be cool as well. Like I can imagine like Santorini, like the white buildings.
Yes, and then we can have a Hercules and Meg meet and greet all the time.
Oh my gosh. Like I remember coming to Disney World and going on Rock and Roller Coaster with my dad, and my sister was too young to go on it, so she stayed out and she got to meet Meg in Hollywood Studios, and I just about fell over with jealousy.
You were like, awesome, cool.
Raging.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that would be an India pavilion would be so good. Oh my gosh. That's such a good idea. So let's talk about just your relationship with Disney in general. And let's kind of talk about where it started. What is the first time you ever went to Disney?
That was September 1992. That was the year that Disneyland Paris opened, and I went there with my mom and dad and my mom's cousin and like my second cousins, and it was just the first introduction to anything Disney and Disney parks for anybody in our family. And like we took home videos even then in 92. I remember being a kid and just watching them over and over again. And I think something about that trip and just the memories we made as a family, even though I didn't like remember them firsthand, is what really ingrained it in me and the rest of my family, that this is somewhere really special and that brings us together as a family, and is what kept us going back over the years.
Oh, I love that so much. I'm so jealous hearing that your home park was Disneyland Paris growing
Yeah.
up. We went in 2017, and which is so sad that I just had to ask that because it was definitely the year we got married. Um, but we went for our honeymoon, and that is by far my favorite Disney property.
Yeah.
By far.
It is spectacular.
Oh my gosh, it is. It's so magical, and it's so hard to like explain to people who has never been why it just is so like just in my opinion leaps and bounds amazing over like Disney World and Disneyland California. But I feel like you like growing up there, basically you get it. It's just so quaint and magical and like so much more fairy tale like than the stateside ones.
I agree. And it's all in the attention to detail, I think.
Mhm.
In the Disneyland park, at least, the Studios park is perhaps a different story. But there is so much beauty and so much attention to detail in that park. And even having been now to the stateside parks, we were last in Paris 2019, I think. I'd see, I can't remember the dates either. And it was the first time that I'd been to Paris in quite some time. And I was just like looking around in awe of everything. Just like everything's so beautiful.
It really is. It's like the Imagineers found like their more creative artsy fartsy cousin. If you can even have something more artsy fartsy than an Imagineer, you can't. But like to me, that's like how it is. Like someone with just so much like artistic ability and like ideas was like, let's make a Disney park like this. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, the Imagineer Tony Baxter, like who had such an involvement in leading that project as like launching that park, is one of the reasons he's my absolute favorite. Like anytime I watch a Disney documentary, whether it's about the 50th or something, and Tony Baxter comes on, I'm like, oh, my favorite. I love him.
You're like, I love you so much.
Yeah. Like idol. If I got to meet him one day, that would be dreams come true.
Oh my gosh, I just really want that to happen for you. So did you went that one time, but did you guys make it like a pretty regular thing to go?
Yeah, I mean, there was a big like stint in between kind of that trip, and then we did go to Florida actually the year after that, and then there was quite a few years stint in between because my sister was born and my parents wanted to wait till she was a little bit older. But yeah, it sounds crazy to say that now, but Paris we could get to and spend a day or two, and it was a few hours car ride away. So it became something that, you know, growing up, my parents could surprise us with this trip. Like, you know, we've got like some time, we're going to spend time with family, and then we'd go to like Disneyland Paris, and it was just such an integral part of my childhood memories, and definitely shaped who I have become, which is a very Disney adult.
Okay, I have an unrelated Disney. No, how do I want to ask this? This question's not related to Disney in any way, shape, or form, but I am very curious and I've always wanted to do this. And you just said that you drove to Paris. How terrifying is riding through the Channel?
Actually, not very, because you're static and there are like windows so you can kind of see where you're at, but it doesn't feel like you're moving. Like once you get it's like a mind over matter thing. Once you kind of accept, I guess I'm underwater right now. Like you wouldn't know when you're in your car sitting there.
Okay. There's windows so you can see like in the water?
It's just very dark. Like you can't make, there's no fish, no flounders like swimming on by.
That's what I was getting. That's what I was picturing, like aquarium style.
Yeah, but listen, I would recommend that mode of transportation if you're going to the UK, or the Eurostar, which is the train, over getting the ferry and driving if you can, because, and you know, I don't want this episode to take a dark and twisted turn, but John and I, when he came to visit me and we went to Paris, we drove in and we ended up like getting mugged in our rental car. Like people were banging on our windows, like demanding money. Like we must have been in like a dodgy area. We were tourists. We had no idea where we were going.
Right.
But yeah, as soon as we got to Disneyland Paris, we were like, okay, we're in the safe place now. In the safe
We're like, we're in Disney. We're in the magic. We're fine.
Exactly. It's like, where's Mickey?
We need your help. I have always, riding in the Channel is like this item that is on my bucket list, but I'm also like, if I got the opportunity, would I chicken out? I don't know. But yeah, I've never actually talked to someone who had done it before, so it's nice to know that it's not as terrifying as it sounds.
No, and the Eurostar, like I said, the train is very nice as well. Like it's super quick. That will also go under the water, but if you go from central London to Paris, you can be there in a couple of hours on that train.
That's crazy.
So many methods of transportation to get to Paris from the UK.
And that's such a like crazy concept to an American. Like, yes, we travel from state to state, but it's just so strange to be like, oh yeah, you know, I hopped over from, you know, just a quick day trip to Paris.
No, I realize that now. Like we, you know, growing up, we had no idea how fortunate we were that our family vacations for a few days or a week would be to France or to Spain and to Italy, and you know, those were the accessible holidays, or like different parts of the UK even, you know, and then the big dream holidays were when we could go to the US or somewhere really crazy. But yeah, now I look back and I'm like, what I wouldn't do for a few days in Spain or Italy or somewhere, and, you know, soak up the culture and the food and everything else.
Yeah. So that actually leads into a really good space. Tell us about how you actually ended up here stateside.
Yeah, so it's kind of been over a couple of stints over the past almost 10 years now. So the first time I moved was straight after college. And like so many people, didn't really know what I was going to do with my degree in English literature. And my main thought was all I'd ever really wanted to do, like my passion was I wanted to work for Disney in some way or another. And, you know, being from the UK and even Europe, there are like limited possibilities and opportunities within the company like that. So that's how I stumbled across the cultural representative program and applied for that and ended up getting the job to work in the Rose and Crown. So you can be in the UK either part of food and beverage or merchandise, or they have sort of another area of it as well where you work more in the heritage section. So I worked in food and beverage and started that job just a couple of months after I graduated. Spent 15 months in Florida having the time of my life. It was kind of like the college experience that I never had. It was work hard, play hard. You know, everyone was like-minded. We were all just there for a short time, knowing we had to make the most of every single moment. And, you know, the parks were fully accessible to us. We could go whenever we wanted. And it was just magical. Like, it was some of the best friends I have in life are from that program. I then moved in with them when we all moved back to London, and I met John, my husband, doing that program. But right at the end of that program is when we kind of got back to when we got together. And then, like I said, back to London after that was over. Spent a year and a half starting my career in all things recruitment and talent acquisition. And the staffing company that I was working for in London were launching in New York. And so gave me an opportunity to go and be part of the launch team and basically go build this office from scratch. I obviously had a couple of different reasons for going. A great career choice, but also, this guy that I was doing the long distance thing with.
Being close to John didn't hurt either.
Exactly. So when we'd visited a couple of times, and I was like, so how would you feel about New York? And he was like, never lived there, but that would be cool. So he was in agreement. I moved there in August 2015, and he ended up moving up a couple of months after that. Stayed. New York was meant to be like, maybe I'll stay a couple of years and then, see what happens. A couple of years turns into 5 years. It was great. I switched jobs one time and started working for the company I'm with now. And then during the pandemic, my role went remote, and we were planning to move outside of the main city anyway. So we were living in Manhattan that whole time. And then we were like, what if we make this, now that my role's remote, the big move, and consider asking my work if I can stay remote and move down to Florida. And again, I'm so fortunate that they were willing to get behind this crazy idea. And we've moved here August of 2020. So just over a year we've been in the Orlando area. And that's the story.
I love that. Oh my gosh. So now that you're back, is there some part of you that's like, I wish that I was a cast member again? Or are you just really content with no, I'm cool with being a guest and I'm good?
Yes and no. I'm really kind of on the fence about this. Many of my very good friends here are cast members. And when I hear about the things they do, the magic they're making, they're very magical people. They really believe in the traditions and, sort of what would have wanted, as they like to say. So that part, I'm that would be incredible to have that as part of my job again one day. But equally, I've spent sort of 7 going on 8 years building a career now. So it would be difficult for me to leave that, both in terms of having built up kind of the reputation that I have, and then at my age, it would be difficult to backtrack and sort of start all over again. But if there was an opportunity with the mouse that kind of combined those things, who knows? But yeah, I'm quite content with where I am at the moment.
Yeah, I love that. And being so close and, being able to pop over whenever you want, that definitely helps too. Yes, for sure.
It's a real perk. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to know why Disney is so special to you.
Yeah, I think, it does go back to the memories that I've made over the years. So it's nearly 30 years of Disney trips under my belt at this point. And so every time I go, that all comes flooding back, and I'm a kid again. And when I get to go to the parks again, when my family can come over, we want to relive all those things that we've done already, and also create new memories that we know will last, especially because we're so far away. All my family are in the UK. We know that is a place we can guarantee to make these lasting memories and just have fun. And that's the same with my friends. So much of my history and the friendships that I've made in my adult years have been from working in Disney or hanging out in Disney. And it's just become a major component of my life and my relationships. And it is the most magical place on earth.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's so special that you share that with your family, especially because you live so far away from them. Please tell me that they get to come and see you soon.
Yes, as of November, all being well, the borders should open. So my mum and sister should be coming for Christmas, which makes me so excited. We've not spent a Christmas together in quite a few years. So I cannot wait. Dad's planning on coming in March, I think. So yeah, this will be the year of 1 million visitors, I think, once those borders open and they can come back. But I was just in the UK myself about 3-4 weeks ago, first time in nearly 2 years. And it was like, again, just a big old reunion. So many memories. It was so much fun.
That makes me so happy that they're coming for the holidays to see you. And that they get to be close to the magic too.
Yeah, and they get to meet Penny for the first time. My little dog.
They haven't got to meet Penny. Oh my gosh, guys. If you haven't seen her dog, she's so freaking cute. I can't
She's
even
ridiculous.
It's like, it really is. She's like one of those dogs where you look at her and you're like, this shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, she looks like a Build-A-Bear.
She really does. She really does look like a Build-A-Bear. So as you know, this whole third season of this podcast is all about basically having these chats with people from every different walk of life and really talking about how a lot of times our differences are showcased, but we want to talk about the one thing that we can absolutely agree on, that we love and cherish so much, and that is the Disney magic and the joy that it brings in each of our lives. So I want to know, what about Disney do you think has such an impact on so many people?
Yeah, it's a great question. I do think a lot of what we all enjoy about Disney is the nostalgia, whether it is about childhood memories, family memories, or if it's your first time. And I find this especially prevalent in Disneyland. You walk in and that nostalgia for a time past, like the 50s when it opened, and, you know, sort of seeing Walt's vision laid out and walking in his footsteps. I know that's what really kind of makes the magic come alive for me, being a real like big Disney fan. And I think that's prevalent for so many people as well, whether it's about, like I say, nostalgia for a past that you never lived, or nostalgia for those memories and making new memories with your family. It's just, I think that's what's quintessentially Disney about that experience, and why when we watch shows like Wishes and Happily Ever After, like there's such an emotion connected to watching those shows. I've yet to see how Enchantment, so I'll refrain from commenting there. But I think the emotional pull of those Disney experiences, watching those fireworks, walking down Main Street, I can't think of anywhere else that gives me that, relaxed, calm, content, happy feeling where I want to like dance and sing and be a kid.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think from every, like, I haven't seen Enchantment either yet, so I can't say anything towards that just yet. But I think a lot of the love that I had for Happily Ever After was because I grew up with Wishes. And so many, like, the memories of seeing Wishes as a kid for the first time, and just like a spectacle like that just in general, but also like the fact that Happily Ever highlighted like Hercules and Hunchback, and like films that you and I were growing up with, that I'm like weeping, like, do kids nowadays even know what this is?
Have you seen Harmonious yet?
No, but I've heard that it like strikes the like quintessential 90s like nostalgia Disney vibe.
If you want to talk about Hunchback of Notre Dame, that is all I will say.
I can't even. I'm so excited.
And it's interesting because I know people have had kind of question marks as to whether that show should be containing so much Disney and, you know, like IP. But the message that they sort of put out at the beginning of the show is that although we may be different and divided based on where we're from, we can all come together in song. And so I think that it just reminded me of your question and kind of what your season is about. So yeah, it just kind of struck a chord when you asked that?
Oh, I love that. I think I'm like getting chills talking about it. I really want to get the Rose and Crown like little dining package for the first time. That one, because Rose and Crown, I'm not just saying this because you work there, but it is my favorite place in World Showcase.
It's
like,
pretty good.
Is it a trip to Epcot if you do not go to the Rose and Crown?
Mm-hmm,
No, the answer is no. Okay, if you didn't know what the right answer would be.
I know. I mean, everyone always asks, like, which way do you go around World Showcase, to France or to Mexico? I mean, differing opinions. I would prefer to go the Mexico way, but what I usually end up doing is going through Canada to the UK, grabbing a drink at the Rose and Crown, and then backtracking, going through Mexico, and then doing it all over again.
I feel like we do that too. It's like I've Pavloved myself. Like, we step through the gates at Epcot and I'm like, I need a Smithix. Sorry, guys. Whatever plan you had has to wait until I get that. Thank you.
Exactly.
But no, I think going back to Harmonious, I honestly think that topic is being brought up in so many different places is because after the year and a half that we have all had, especially here in the States, I feel like a lot of people are craving just human connection on a positive level. And I think that, like, I know the questions that Jonathan and I asked when we were thinking of season 3 and how we came to this whole idea and concept for the topic was just out of necessity of our own personal lives. Like, this is something that, we've been struggling with, and I can have conversations with people that we absolutely do not agree about anything else, except we will sit and have a 3-hour conversation about Disney. How? And the fact that there's now a whole fireworks show that pretty much focuses on that too. I honestly think it's because people are starved for that aspect of human connection.
Yeah, I think you're so right. And I mean, you brought up the videos, like when we moved to Orlando, and even before that when we were in New York and we were doing the YouTube thing for a bit. And I think that was, for us, the reason why we were doing it is because we were stuck in our little itty bitty apartment, and that was a way for us to connect with people, especially, since we didn't have family around us or anything like that. It was just a good outlet and a good way to connect with people. And also, sort of, we found out eventually help other people feel more connected as well. If they were having a bad day, like, they could turn on our videos and we were there, trying to make the best of our time. So yeah, it's funny looking back now, but even to this day, like, what is life without human connection and human relationships?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this conversation honestly has been very the epitome of what, like, we wanted season 3 to encapsulate. And I'm glad that this is going to reach other people because yeah, I don't know. I feel like all warm and fuzzy about this episode.
Oh, that makes me happy.
It's like, because you and I, we've only met once in person, but being able to sit here and chat with you and being able to relate to each other about topics like this is honestly what I feel Disney does. Like, that is honestly a huge part of Disney for me, is like an easy, streamlined way of finding your people.
I could not agree more. Even like the friends I have now since moving here are largely through social media or like through knowing that they did the same Disney program that I did. So we always have that commonality, and it's just a nice foundation, a good positive, happy foundation to build a friendship around. And it's just a start, but it brings us together for sure.
Yes, absolutely. I could not have said it better. A good positive foundation to start friendships on. Yeah, this episode has been so lovely. I'm just like, it's, oh my gosh, I'm all warm and fuzzy. But I do want to end it on a fun question.
Yeah.
And we're called Bibbidi Bobbidi Basics here. We like to celebrate being the key word, the basic side of life.
Love it.
Kind of reclaiming that negative connotation of the word and really owning our basicness here. So I would love to hear about a time in your life where you did something and you thought to yourself, this has to be the most basic thing I've ever done.
The first thing that came to mind was literally last week. And I ended up with one of these iridescent purple 50th anniversary Starbucks tumblers. And if that's not basic, I mean, this was $50. Like, how ridiculous is that?
I can't recover from that. You like whipped it into camera.
I thought, here's what I made earlier.
The level of dramatics that was is literally everything to me. Okay, follow-up question. I would love to know how many people you had to fight for that Starbucks cup.
Not a single one, because I ordered it on Shop Disney.
What a pro move.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times I have stalked Disney stores because my sister was like, if you do anything for me in your life, get me this Starbucks cup.
Keep checking Shop Disney. It came online last week. I jumped at it, questioned what I'm doing with my life because, I mean, it's just a ridiculous amount of money and it's extremely basic, if you ask me. But at the same time, it brought me a little bit of joy. And then every time I drink water, it's in this sparkly cup. So I can think of
honestly, so iconic. And you have that memory now.
I do.
30 years from now, you're going to be like, look at this. I was there and I did this.
Yeah.
And I was part of it.
And I'll tell you what, securing it was much better from my sofa than it was having to fight through hordes of people. One of my friends, she's a supervisor over at the Emporium. And so I got the intel on the actual experience of being there on the first. She said they opened shop at 6:00. By 6:15, they'd had to call security because those videos online that surfaced are very real.
Stop.
Yeah.
15 minutes in and they had to call security?
Mm-hmm. And there were four different altercations during that day. Like, it's just, people went crazy over a Starbucks cup.
They really did.
Maybe they're more basic than I am.
As she says as she sips her. Does your water taste more magical out of that star-studded Starbucks cup?
Yes, it does. It makes me want to drink more water, and I feel like that's a good thing.
You know what? That is a good thing. And like Marie Kondo says, if it sparks joy, then it has every place in your life.
I know. It's got me in trouble since moving down here, like redoing my apartment and being like, oh, do I need an egg chair? Yes, it brings me joy. Like
yes, I do actually. Thank you for asking.
No shame.
Well, Kelsey, I would love for you to tell the listeners where they can find and connect with you. And yeah.
Absolutely. So I am on Instagram as Kelsey's Orlando. Very happy to meet new people and chat to people on Instagram. That's kind of where I do most of my sharing nowadays. If you do want to look back on YouTube, you can find me and my husband's channel at Kels and John. As I mentioned, we did document so many of our Disney trips before we moved down here, our time through lockdown in New York, and then our entire move down to Orlando. So it's all there. Take a look down memory lane if you want.
Yes, their vlogs. I'm a big YouTube vlog watcher, and your vlogs are just some of the most positive, and just all around feel good vlogs to watch. And I think that resonated, like you were saying, with a lot of people, especially during lockdown. But also you get up to lots of fun Disney adventures. So what more could you want? Disney adventures and fun and positive and heartwarming. So Kelsey's Instagram and YouTube are going to be linked in the show notes and the description box if you're listening or watching on YouTube. So be sure to follow her and connect if you enjoyed listening to her on today's episode. Kelsey, thank you so much for being on the episode. I can't even tell you how much of a pleasure it was to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure chatting Disney, and till the next time we can pick this up and chat some more. So thank you.
Absolutely. We could go get a Smithix at the Rose and Crown. Let's go.
Oh, I mean, name the day.
I will put on my shoes.
Bring my Starbucks cup. We'll be good.
Be well hydrated. Thank you so much, Kelsey.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow the pod and let me know what you thought of today's episode. All of our links are in the show notes and description box down below. And if you're listening to today's episode, please give us a rate and review, and don't forget to include your Instagram handle to be featured as our basic of the week. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I upload new episodes on Wednesday and other videos for more Magic Mondays. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Until then, Basics, stay magical.